Boom, we are live. Sportsbook betting insight today, Wednesday, April 25th. Pauly and Teddy live today and tomorrow. Can't beat it. At Real Sportsbet on Twitter. He's at Teddy_covers. Quadruple header tonight in the NBA playoffs. We'll go through 3 of the games. We'll turn the shot clock on, talk about a particular team in the West, if there's some value in their chances to make the finals, and a big show coming up. ROI today, Major League Baseball so far. It's been a strange start to the season. Top 5, bottom 5, and pitchers and teams as well. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books, Teddy. Always important to get the best number. If you just want to throw some pizza money on it, that's fine. But the Celtics go from 3 to 4 to 4.5. It hit 5 here in town at the Win, and down 4 with 1.6 seconds. The Bucks foul. Horford makes 1 out of 2, and Muhammad says, nah, not going to bother. He doesn't shoot off the missed free throw from beyond half court. Celtics win. The total went from 204 down to 202.5. Celtics lead the series 3-2. Home teams won all 5 games, and the Celtics get the money.
Sure. And you want to talk point spread drama, Pauly. There was point spread drama in all 3 NBA playoff games last night. This one, looked like Boston was the right side. And then it got real dicey for Celtics backers in that final minute or so. But the Horford free throws made all the difference for the side bettors in that game. Of course, the total got steamed under, and that was never in doubt. Bettors cashed in with that line move.
You got fortunate. I know they were up for most of the game, but how about they didn't call the shot clock violation on Horford? That was big. They got free throws off that possession and milk clock. Also, how the hell is that not reviewable? You can review everything in the NBA. You can't review a shot clock violation with a minute left in a pivotal game 5? Come on, NBA. Now, you're right with the shenanigans in this one. I had the Heat. I'm cold. Loser. Oh, man. I mean, this is, again, I'll get to the story in a second here with the second half. The Sixers just won the series in 5 games and never led it to half. So the Heat fouled down 11 with like 27 seconds left when the Sixers are going to dribble it out. And then the Heat foul, and then Wade dribbles it out. Doesn't even bother to shoot down 13.
Sure. And of course, Wade, it's a class move. I couldn't blame Dwayne Wade for doing what he did. And yet, anyone with a Miami ticket in their pocket, myself included, Paul, we're like, come on, just jack up a 3. I'll take a push out of this. I'll take a half-point win, depending on where you got the number. But once again, we're talking about point spread drama, lines being set in a range where it's right on the number in the final minute. Of course, the game got steamed over the total, 211.5 up to 216.5. That was a wrong move. Game stayed under by margin. Bettors got the wrong side of the total in last night's Heat versus Sixers game, and Philly survives and moves on.
I hope you took our advice. If you watched the show yesterday, the Heat were one of the worst teams all year in the third quarter, even though they were a playoff team. But it was the third and the fourth quarter in this series. Game 1, the Heat led by 4 at the half, lost by 27, gave up 74 points in the second half. Game 2, they won, but they were outscored by 4 in the second half and won by double digits. Game 3, they led by 1 at the half and lost by 20, outscored 32-14 in the fourth quarter. Game 4, up 5 at the half, lost by 4. They only scored 41 points in the second half and were outscored 27-19 in the fourth. And then last night, tied at the half, outscored 34-20 in the third quarter, Teddy. Let's give Brett Brown some credit. Made all the halftime adjustments in this series.
Sure. And when we think about how to use this information moving forward, Philadelphia making the appropriate halftime adjustments in every game against a well-coached Miami Heat team with Eric Spoelstra, who knows his X's and O's. That is something worth noting. Philly second halves, perhaps Philly under second halves, something I'll be paying a lot of attention to as they move on to the second round.
One more, the late game. The Warriors move on. They win in 5, although they were up 12 with 5 minutes left. The next thing you know, it's a 2-point game with 30 seconds. The Spurs get the money. The Spurs finish the season 1-15 straight up on the road and 1-9 ATS in the last 10. 1-15 on the road straight up. They only win at Cleveland late February. And now the big offseason, they got to sit down and meet with Kawhi Leonard.
Sure. And meanwhile, Golden State survives and advances, gets out of the series in 5 games, gets a little chance for R&R before their next series against New Orleans. But The offensive issues for Golden State, they were not efficient offensively in this series. Certainly not at the level that they are when Steph Curry's in the lineup. Playoffs might be a little bit shorter than people expect unless Steph Curry gets back pretty soon for these Golden State Warriors.
Talked to Jeff Sherman today at the Westgate. He makes the Warriors an $8.50, $8 series favorite without Curry, $16 with Curry. Juicy take back on the Pelicans there, with or without Curry. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. About a bad bet? White Sox. It seems like they take money every day, Teddy. They only have 5 wins, 135 down to 110. They lose. And the Rangers, plus 115, went off the favorite. Hamels pitched well, but the A's have won 9 of 10 now.
Yeah, exactly. Oakland's the hot team, and yet Texas takes the money. Well, why? The market's like Cole Hamels. Guess what? Hamels pitched well. Didn't make a difference. The hot team won the game. Texas's bats are ice cold. And, you know, you love the steam on the teams that are 5 and 15. Knock yourselves out, wise guys. The market money pouring in on the White Sox. Let's see. Pitching was good, but they got shut out. That's a bad bet for those who made it.
Yeah. People who were there said about 3,000 people, too. It's a shit show right now with the White Sox and the weather. Bad for the books. Look at this team. Rockies, Padres under 11.5 down to 10. 8-0 final, 7-0 in the second inning. The Reds, they've won 2 in a row, plus 115. Bet down to even money. They win again, 9-7 in extra innings. And this is ridiculous. It's stealing money. Yankees, it's a gift. $1.25 up to 150. They own the Twins at home. Regular season and playoffs. They also usually beat them up in Minneapolis. I think that's now 28-9 at New Yankee Stadium. Regular season and playoffs, and they roughed up Barrios in that one.
Sure. Well, Barrios coming off as big a start he's ever had in his life in that game in Puerto Rico where he pitched, an absolute gem. Hard for a young hurler to match that level of intensity twice in a row. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be bad for the books a lot when the New York Yankees win. They have proven to be a very popular team among casual bettors so far this season. Steamed up yesterday. Easy money, as you mentioned, if you had the Yankees on the money line or the run line on that.
And how about the Blue Jays? They go from 105 plus 105 to off the favorite. They win 4-3. Red Sox 3 straight losses after the hot start, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, Boston 17-2, but now showing signs of coming back to earth. And of course, one thing that we like to do a lot in MLB, you look at any given 20-game span, and when a team really overachieves or really underachieves, we've seen Boston start coming back to earth. We've seen Cincinnati win a couple of games. You find teams off a really ugly 20-game span or a really hot 20-game span, you bet honor against them the next 5 or 10, maybe got a chance to pull up a decent profit. Certainly, Red Sox faders have been cashing in the last couple of ball games.
I love to talk about this. This is fun. I think this can help you out as well. This is very helpful. And Covers.com does a great job. Most profitable teams, top 5 and bottom 5 ROI, pitchers, totals, and teams. Let's start with the teams. The Red Sox lead the way. You bet $100 every game on the Red Sox. You're up 11 units. Right there with the Diamondbacks, who won again last night and beat the Phillies. Number 3, the Mets are plus 980. The Angels are plus 780. And the Brewers checking in. First place Brewers plus 630. At the bottom, even with the 2-game winning streak, the Reds are down 11.5 units. Orioles down 9 units. White Sox almost 10. Royals 9.5. And the Nationals, Teddy, right? Dave Martinez not exactly working out. They're struggling under 500. And it's still a lot of respect for the markets, down 9 units as well.
Sure. And when we look at these early season ROI stats, for me, what I'm looking for is maybe a team you didn't expect to be there. We know how good the Red Sox and D-backs have been. The markets aren't sleeping on the Mets or the Angels. But the Brewers, sneaky good in early season play. They were a team we spotlighted before the season started as a potential bet on. There they are, a top 5 squad. They're not in a major market. They're not on TV a whole lot. Milwaukee, a team with relatively low expectations. They get a chance to be a real profitable team moving forward as well. And the bottom 5 ROI, the one that stands out to me, is the Nationals. As you mentioned, the other 4 teams are garbage. Yep. The Nationals are supposed to be good, and they're going to be priced like a contender in so many of their games because they've got the aces in the starting staff. Washington's not winning. I cashed a ticket against them last night and the night before. I'm in no rush to start betting the Nationals right about now.
All right, most profitable starting pitchers. Pavetta with leading the way. They won all of his starts, plus 5 units. Thor as well. McCarthy, this was going into yesterday. McCarthy was plus 450. Skaggs plus 414. Porcello, although they got the loss yesterday, but he was $4 as well. The Red Sox finally lost a start that Porcello made. Bottom 5 pitchers ROI. Duffy leads the way, down over 5 units. They haven't won a Duffy start yet, the Royals. Urena, 5 units. The Marlins are 0-5 when he starts. Lopez, 420. Kershaw, look at this, Teddy. 416. And he's 380 today against the Marlins.
And that's the beauty of Kershaw. Of course, remember, Clayton Kershaw has legitimately been a nightmare for every sportsbook director in Nevada for the better part of the last 5 seasons, because the Dodgers win over and over and over again when he starts. It doesn't matter. You could have shown a profit betting on every Kershaw start at minus 400. I'd even priced that high over the last 4 seasons. So bookmakers very happy to see the Dodgers lose a couple of games with Kershaw on the hill. And if they continue to lose with Kershaw on the hill, he'll end up being the worst ROI pitcher in all of baseball by the end of the season, because they're going to keep laying $2.50, $3, $3.50, $4 every time he takes the hill.
Trimming the hedges. So terrific timing out there as we go live. Overs and unders. Archer, all 5 of his starts have gone over. Leak, all 5 of his starts have gone over. Gonzalez finally played an under. He's 4-1 to the over. Gray, Cool, and Montgomery, all 4-0 to the over. Unders, Manaya, the throwing Simone with the no-hitter, all 5 of his starts have gone under. Aaron Sanchez, all 4 of his starts have gone under. And then Pavetta. Look at this, Hamill and Bailey. You think two names that don't fit. 4-0 to the under as well. And a while back, you had that sick run with Paul Emmel, home plate umpire. How about Marquez? 6-0 to the over as well. Some people like to track umpires as well. I know Paul Emmel had like that 24-2 run. It was ridiculous. Remember that a couple years ago, Teddy?
Sure. Paul Emmel's got a pretty wide strike zone. Marquez, not known for having a particularly wide strike zone. In fact, I've read complaints about him that his strike zone is a little bit dicey, which is bad news for pitchers. That's an emerging overtrend worth paying attention to moving forward.
All right, here we go. 4 games tonight in the NBA playoffs, thanks to Intertop Sportsbook and BetOnline. 22 years online at Intertop. Sign up, deposit, and win. Pivotal game 5. Raptors at home against the Wizards. Home teams won all 4. Raptors are 7.5 in some shops, 216 the total. The defense has been a problem with the Raptors. They were top 5 in the regular season defensive efficiency, although the Wizards have been able to get whatever they want. The first 3 games went over. Game 4 stayed under. Horrible job by the Raptors in Game 4. You're up 14 in the 3rd quarter. Beal fouls out with 5 minutes left in the game. You couldn't stop Wall. It was the same old Raptors. ISO ball, stagnant offense down the stretch, and they lose the game. They led 2-0. And teams that take a 2-0 series lead, best of 7 NBA history, win 93% of the time. Teams that win Game 5 in a series that tied at 2 win 83% of the time. All the pressure in the world on the Raptors, Teddy. They're the 1 seed. You know, it's going to be the fan base going to be freaking out. They're going to be tight tonight. Van Vliet also doubtful. That's a big story, too, as he only played 3 minutes in the series.
And that's the story of the series, if you ask me. Toronto, during the regular season, was all about the depth. Their bench was as good or better than any bench in the NBA. Now, here's the playoffs. The backup point guard, Van Vliet's been hurt. As you mentioned, 3 minutes in the series, a complete non-factor. Doesn't look like he's going to go tonight. And the rest of the bench, frankly, has fallen apart without him. So what are we seeing? We're seeing the huge minutes for DeRozan. We're seeing the huge minutes for Lowry. Meanwhile, we've seen the Wizards get a whole lot of confidence off those back-to-back wins at home. John Wall, quote, "I feel like both teams protected home court. Now it's the best of 3. Somebody is going to have to win on the opponent's court to win. We have a good opportunity to go up there with some momentum going into Game 5. We want to take full advantage and try to get that win." Head coach Scott Brooks, quote, "We've had some tough moments this year with John missing half the season, but we found it. And it put us in position to make the playoffs through resolve. You win playoff games and you win playoff series with having that. We have that. We're going to have to continue to have that because we have to win 2 more games. And one of them has to be on the road. I like the mentality here for Washington. I like the attitude. A team we had a lot of questions about after game 2. Well, they answered all those questions over the course of the game 3 and game 4 victories.
114-106 and 130-119. The 2 home wins for the Raptors. Game 1, they trailed by 1 with 8 minutes left and then ran out the Wizards. Wall had 27, 14, and 6 in game 4. DeRozan had 35 points, but he also had 4 of the 19 Toronto turnovers. He said, I blame myself for a lot of the mistakes, for a lot of the forced shots late in the game. Mental mistakes, turnovers, late game execution, stabbing in the backcourt and transition late in the game, a lot of things. And talking about his teammates, shoot it, man. Every one of my teammates, I don't care if you miss 20 in a row. If you get a shot, take it. You got to have confidence. They didn't have that in game 4 as well. I'm concerned, Teddy. It's the same old Raptors. I'm off the bandwagon.
Yeah, it certainly feels like that. And again, you read this quote from Dwayne Casey, and you say, all right, Casey's at least staying calm. Talking about all the turnovers. Quote, some of it is Washington's good defense, and some of it is just taking out a gun, pointing it at your foot, and shooting ourselves in the foot. A lot of it was uncharacteristic, but it just didn't start in game 3. We had some of the same turnovers the first 2 games. We were able to score and have a cushion to live through it. We have to take care of the basketball, make sure we get quality shots. I'm with you, Pauly. All the pressure in the world on Toronto here. The Raptors haven't exactly been a team in seasons past that has lived up and played their best when the pressure was at the highest.
Not your typical 1-8 series either. Wizards have a lot of talent, okay, and should have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. But I see adjusted series price $350, $360 in some shops. That's the early game on NBA TV. This is the early game on TNT, 4 o'clock Pacific. Cavs at home against the Pacers. Series tied at 2. Cleveland 6, 205 the total. All 4 games have gone under. 98-80, 197, 92-90, and 104-100. If they lose this series, I think the Pacers can do the what-if scenario for a couple of reasons. Number one, get up to a good start, will you, please? The last 3 games have been down by 16 in 3 games in a row. And in game 4, even with that bad start and what happened in the third quarter when they got going, they led by 2 with 3 minutes left. And then Corver hit a couple big threes, and they lost 104-100. So, hey, they've already won at Cleveland. They ran them out. In game 2, they were down 16-1, and Oladipo had 2 fouls a minute into the game and had to sit, and they were still in position to tie the game with a good look from an Oladipo 3 with 20 seconds left. He also was coming off a 5 of 20 shooting performance. No one respects this team. No one gave him any credit. Only one time on national TV. I don't know what I'm going to get out of the Cavs and their support. I know LeBron's Superman. I don't know about the supporting cast. Love's averaging 12 points per game. Hood, Corver, Calderon, Hill's questionable. I mean, I don't know. I can't count on these guys, right? Even though the game's at home.
Well, it's game 5 of this series, and the first 4 games, it's been LeBron and nobody. LeBron has done everything for the Cavs in this series, and literally, their second leading scorer is 12 points a game. Here's a quote for Kevin Love. I think just tying the series up and coming back home is something we feel good about. We feel like it's a best of 3 type series at the end of the day, and if it comes to it, we have 2 games at home. We like our advantage, and we're going to use that to our advantage Wednesday night. So, the fact that the Cavs were able to steal game 4 is a real positive sign moving forward, in my mind. They're 24-9 with Jose Calderon as a starter at point guard this year. He started for Hill on Sunday. He's likely to start tonight. Hill officially questionable this evening. But nobody is shooting for the Cavs. What's Kevin Love? 14 of 47 in the series with 11 turnovers. We've seen, up and down the roster, we haven't seen anybody get going for Cleveland. And you have to think at some point, I guess Kyle Korver got going in game 4 at the end, but at some point the supporting cast will step up, won't it, Pauly?
I don't know. They could win this game by 20 or they could lose. I don't know what to expect of this team. Now, the pleasant surprise has been the defense because they're the second worst defense in the league. And you're worried about, these guys haven't had that much time together. Was there enough time in the season to get on the same page with this new cast with all the moves they made at the deadline? But I don't trust these guys. I can't count on them. Hell, Thompson doesn't even play with the Kardashians stink on him. I like the balance, though, out of the Pacers. Even though they lost, they had 7 guys in double figures. in the Game 4 loss Sunday. So, you said Stevenson would play a big role. He's been okay. Sabonis had 19, and all 5 starters were in double figures. So even though they can't really stop Oladipo, he struggled shooting, but he's going to get his. There's other guys that can chip in, and Turner has stepped up and play well in this series too. So I don't necessarily think, okay, now I can trust these guys, and whether it's Clarkson or Hill or Calderon, and some of these guys can make shots, because remember, they were a no-show, and it's already happened. The supporting cast stunk and did nothing in Game 1. So if it happened at home, it can happen again. While Barkley is usually right, it's amazing but true. Supporting cats on the bench will always play better at home as opposed to the road. I don't know. 6.5. I see some money for the dog here early, and I would be inclined to take under as well, as every game has gone under, Teddy.
Sure. I mean, I'm a little bit worried about Oladipo. Oladipo's 19 of 53 shooting over the last 3 games after that Game 1 dominant effort. And, Sabonis coming off his playoff career best. We've seen this whole series, one guy after the next for Indiana. Playoff career high. How long can that go on? Their supporting cast has been great in this series. And the quote, of course, Darren Collison. We're not losing confidence. That team's the defending Eastern Conference champions. Whatever you want to say about them, it's a very good team. They've been through a lot over the last few years. Yeah. We're fine. There's no need to overreact or panic. We're going to go in their building. We're going to give the same effort. I mean, Cleveland's 2 wins in this series have come by a combined 7 points. Hard for me to get to the window laying 6 or 6.5 with Cleveland tonight.
Yep. I lean over in that Wizards game, too, for what it's worth, and play of the day will come from that game in a second. We're live, SportsBit 2.0 on SBR Picks. Pauly and Teddy at Real SportsBit. He's at Teddy_Covers. Okay, here's one of the late games. NBA TV, 6:30 Pacific. OKC season on the line. 3.5 and 207 at home against the Jazz. I told you about Westbrook. How about Tom Haberstroh, formerly of ESPN, the Back-to-Back podcast? People still think he's a great player, right? An elite player? Bullshit. Worst plus-minus of any player in the playoffs, -45. He has the most shot attempts on his team and the lowest field goal percentage. That's a problem. 4 years in a row, OKC has averaged the fewest passes of any team in the league. They thought Brooks was the problem. They got him out. No, Westbrook's the problem. They even replaced Brooks and brought in Donovan. 2 different coaches. Hasn't mattered. And how about all the guys who have left Westbrook and enjoyed success, big paydays, and better stats? Durant, Harden, Oladipo, Waiters, Cantor, Sabonis, Reggie Jackson. The list goes on and on, Teddy. He's not going to make you better. And the ramifications of this series, it's not over. We've seen stranger things have happened, but they've lost 3 in a row. George out the door. Carmelo Anthony has a $27 million player option for next year. He's shooting 25% from 3. Oh, my God, it's a horror show.
Sure. And the mantra of the NBA playoffs is when a team is done, they're done. Okay. Game 4 was must win for OKC. They called it must win. They came out and played really well first half. And they got blown out in the second half. They lost by 17 points in that contest. And that's the 3rd straight, decisive wins for the Jazz. Jazz haven't been stealing these last 3 games. They've won all 3 games, plain and simple. Of course, the attitude sounds right for Utah, who won a first-round playoff series last year. Quote, it's the playoffs. It's going to be war. This is Ricky Rubio. We know that there's going to be another war next game. We just have to be tough, but at the same time, mentally ready for that. That's the right attitude. And of course, Donovan Mitchell, you want to talk about history. Donovan Mitchell has averaged, 27.6 points through the last 3 games and 110 points through the first 4 games. You know who has more in the history of the NBA by a rookie in his first playoff appearances? That would be Michael Jordan. His 117 points in 1985. That's the only guy who's done better than Donovan Mitchell as a rookie in NBA history. Quote, to be honest, Mitchell's quote, to be honest, a lot of this is surreal. I'm just taking it game by game and not really getting caught up in the big picture. Just focusing on game by game. My teammates have helped me a lot as far as that goes, but we're playing together. I like the fact that Mitchell's like, yeah, it's surreal. I'm not focusing on the big picture. Just get me to the next game. We'll see what we can keep doing. In my mind, that's the right attitude for the rookie moving forward.
And I buried the lead. Mr. Overrated Westbrook got outplayed in this series in the last couple of games by Ricky frickin' Rubio. How about that? And he even did the I'm going to shut that shit down line about after he had the triple-double in Game 3. Then he was in foul trouble. Rubio played well, and they got run out. You're right, Teddy. It was supposed to be essentially a must-win. They lost 113-96. I'm all in on this team. I love this team. It is a total team. Gobert down low. Favors, who had 20 and 16 in Game 2. Mitchell's terrific. Rubio's playing well. Ingles got going. We said watch for that. If Ingles gets going from 3, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. They won 115-102 and 113-96 in the 2 home games and won Game 2 on the road, 102-95. So they already did it. Don't get them life. Don't give them life. Try to take them out tonight. And you see that with respect. Even though it's a must-win, season on the line, OKC's only 3.5. And Adams has been in foul trouble too because the big guy's down low, and Gobert, he can't stay out of foul trouble. And go, man, what do I take away? With the penetration and the shooting ability of Mitchell and Rubio finding open shooters and OKC's horrific defense, the loss of Roberson's huge, but I can penetrate, shoot, throw it alley-oop to Gobert. Total team with Utah. Second best record in the league since late January, and the number 2 defense in the league.
Sure. And of course, you talk about the foul trouble for Adams. Foul trouble in Game 2, left OKC shorthanded. Foul trouble in Game 3. Game 4 didn't have the foul trouble. In fact, he looked a little bit timid in the paint, and I think it made a lot of difference. I really worry about Steven Adams moving forward, but I love this quote from Melo, man. This quote, this should be bolded and headlined. Quote, "We got to win. Nothing to it. We just got to win. We can sit here and say what we got to do or what we didn't do or what we did do, but it comes down to having the will to win that game Wednesday and forcing a Game 6 back in Utah. I don't know about you, Pauly. I don't know if I trust OKC to have that will. They haven't shown a whole lot of will in each of the last 3 losses."
Yes. I don't know what contract is worse. Melo, $28 million player option, or Whiteside, who just signed that max deal and couldn't get on the floor or do anything in that series against the Sixers. Do you have a lean on the other game, 6:30 Pacific TNT? Rockets are 12, and the total is bet down from 219 to 216.
Yeah, I agree with the move on the under in this ballgame. I think we see an elimination game intensity on the defensive side. I don't think we see a whole lot of pace in this one. So I respect the move on the under, and would definitely lean in that direction.
All right, let's turn the shot clock on before we get to play of the day. Can the Jazz win the West? I say yes. They would, a couple months ago, it'd be drug tested if somebody said yes other than Houston or Golden State. But with the unknown status of Curry, when he's going to come back, the Rockets have struggled for the first 4 games of the series against Minnesota, take out the third quarter when they blitzed them for 50 points. The Jazz, now 100-1 was available a while ago. But again, they were 9 games under 500 at one point, and now they rally with this great run since late January when Gobert came back. They've been great. 10-1 currently at William Hill to win the West. The value's gone, but still. Team basketball, great record, second best defense. Houston not playing well. I could see that. And who knows what the status of Curry. And it's hard to love Golden State. They just got a great draw against the San Antonio team that wasn't a playoff team. They weren't playing well down the stretch.
All right, let's get the shot clock on and explain where Pauly's a little bit overreacting to the Utah Jazz success. I'm with you on Utah being a very good team. I'm with you on Utah knocking off OKC in this series. But we start talking about Houston and Golden State against a team with a rookie in Donovan Mitchell as their leading scorer. I don't think the Jazz can match the Rockets or the Warriors' firepower. I watched the matchups, a couple of matchups between Utah and Houston this year. And I'll tell you, the Jazz defense doesn't work nearly as well when opposing teams are bombing 3-pointers against them. I would expect the Jazz to get beat by the Rockets or the Warriors. They're not going to the finals in 2018.
You going to have Game 7 on tonight? Maple Leafs Bruins, huh? Will the Bruins spit up a 3-1 lead? Is that going to be on one of your televisions?
I doubt it. Maybe, but there's too much NBA playoff basketball and baseball going on. I'm not a hockey guy, man. I can't do it. If it gets to 6 overtimes, maybe we'll flip it over.
I'll tell you, Anderson's been terrific. He was a sieve in the first couple of games in Boston. The Maple Leafs have shut down that first line lately. This would be something if they come back down 3-1. They won Game 5 in Boston. Can they do it again? Remember what happened a couple of years ago? They were down 3-1, forced a Game 7, led 4-1 with 5 minutes left. Lost in overtime. All right, money time. Play of the day. Back to the Wizards and Raptors. What do you want to do?
All right, we can really blurb this up in 3 words. Same old Raptors. Give me Betting number 709. That's a Washington Wizards plus 7.5. There's been Toronto Steam, an early betting action today. We haven't seen a whole lot of difference between these two teams in this series. It's been tight throughout. Washington is as veteran and battle-tested as it gets in these type of hostile road environments, and all the pressure on Toronto. Yeah, Wizards plus the 7 and a hook. Thanks, market, for giving us the bargain. That'll be our play of the day for Wednesday.
All right, brother. We're live tomorrow as well on SBR Picks on Thursday. No show Friday as Teddy's traveling. We'll be back Monday. We'll recap the 4 playoff games. We'll throw in some hockey as well. There's a lot of day games in Major League Baseball. And the NFL Draft, first round on Thursday, a loaded sports bet. We'll talk to you live tomorrow. Sportsbet 2.0. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com. Thanks to the crew. I'm at Real Sportsbet. He's at Teddy_Covers.